All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So wonderful to have you here with us. Oh, Jonas.
Hi,
Excellent.
Cynthia. Hi, Daniel. Hey,
Hi. Good
hey.
to see you.
This is
And
Christina.
Hello.
hey,
Oh.
Christina. Beautiful. Welcome. And hey, Mika. Oh, and Michael. Michael Newart. Hey, good to see you. Been a while. I love all these people coming in. A lot of familiar faces, a lot of new folks. Thank you so much for being here today to learn about Auroville, to learn about this incredible intentional community located in India. We've had tremendous interest in today's event, around 200 people who've registered. So yeah, there's a lot of people who are joining in live. I know a lot of people will be watching the recording later. So hello to everyone who's watching the replay. And my name is Cynthia. I'm going to be the facilitator of today's event with Daniel Greenberg, who is our Auroville expert. Daniel, you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here and to share a little bit about Orville with you all.
Awesome. And then we also have Rebecca here with us, who's going to be supporting with the chat. Rebecca's on our Ecovillage Tour team.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's so good to see everyone.
Yeah, great. And Mika, do you also want to say hello? Mika is our social media maker and mover and shaker here, and she's going to also be helping in the chat.
Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here. I'm also quite enticed to learn about Auroville.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very special place, which you're going to learn all about during our time together. We're going to try to keep it to within an hour. I'm going to share a short intro presentation more specifically about Ecovillage Tours and our upcoming trip to Auroville, because I know we have a lot of people who are either already registered or thinking of joining the trip. And then Daniel is going to share about Auroville, going through the history, the vision, present day, some of the challenges, the opportunities. And then we'll use the ending time for live Q&A. So really be thinking about questions that you might have. Feel free to drop your questions into the chat at any point, but we'll mostly get to the Q&A at the end. And also, as always, use the chat as a place to connect with each other. We have people tuning in from all around the world who are passionate, like you, about community living, new consciousness, regenerative living. So here's a great way to connect with people who share maybe some of your values. All right, so I'm going to queue up now my intro presentation. Get this going. So once again, if you're just coming in, thank you for joining us for our live info session about Auroville in India. And I'm here today with Daniel Greenberg, who is an incredible human and movement leader within the eco-village and intentional community world. He's held many different hats and roles and has actually been bringing people to Auroville for years and years. So what we're doing with Ecovillage Tours is kind of just the next iteration of work that he's been doing for a long time. So once again, my name is Cynthia, and I am the founder of Ecovillage Tours. And I myself actually traveled to India in 2018 and got to spend 2 weeks in Auroville. I went through my archive and found some photos of me from that time. And I want to be honest with you, that time in my life, I think the time in my life, but also the setting of India, meeting all these amazing humans in Auroville, really being in the presence of that culture, walking into the cafeteria, hearing languages, and meeting people from around the world who are all interested in this vision for the future that is centered around human unity, connection, transformation, a brighter future. That was so impactful for me in my life and my life trajectory. And I actually think that was the genesis of the idea for starting Ecovillage Tours. So I visited India in 2018. In 2019, started the company Ecovillage Tours with this goal of bringing people to places like Auroville and other intentional communities around the world so that people could get, like I did, this visceral sense of what the future could be and really use that as motivation for their own life, for their own work, for where they want to live, how they want to raise their kids, the kind of legacy they want to leave. And that's what Ecovillage Tours has been doing. We have had a bit of, I started 2019, so COVID happened, that slowed us down. But 2 years ago, we picked up steam and we have since hosted 14 trips. So these are 1 to 2 week long trips. So I feel very proud. It's been incredible, the growth. 14 trips in 8 different countries around the world, connecting with hundreds of partner eco-villages and intentional communities where we've brought more than 100 participants to visit. We just celebrated one of our alumni reunion calls last weekend, and just so sweet to see all the growth and the enthusiasm. And we hosted earlier this year, I can't believe it's still this year, in 2025, our first trip to Auroville to host the Ecovillage tour in India. And I'm so excited that we're going to be going back again. So a little bit about Ecovillage Tours. As far as I know, we are the only travel company that is specifically focused on intentional communities. So our trips are designed to bring you to a diversity of communities with the guidance of people who are experts, have already relationships with these places, so that you can have a learning experience plus also a vacation, a nice relaxing time, a time away from normal life. Our trips are all inclusive. All of your meals, transportation, and lodging is included so that you can spend that time connecting with the communities that we visit, but also connecting with the traveling participants. So often we have a group of 10 to 15 participants who, as they travel and learn about community, get to practice being a community, which is a very special part of our trips. This was the group that went last year to Auroville, and it was a very diverse group, mix of ages, including a child, mix of people from Europe and the United States. And of course, Daniel was one of the lead guides for that adventure, and we're so excited to do it once again. These are the dates for our Auroville immersion, the India Ecovillage Tour. That's going to be February 26th to March 12th in 2026. So coming up here in February, it's going to be a 15-day long experience. And if you want to learn more, we have tons of information on the webpage at ecovillagetours.com/India. So we have like lots and lots of descriptions of the places that you'll go and ideas about the weather and packing lists. We really want to support people as much as possible in having a smooth experience of traveling to India, as I know from personal experience, it can be intense. So we want to make sure that you're well prepared for that adventure. And I was thinking actually to share at this point just a brief testimonial video so you can see the perspective of a participant who was on our trip last year. And I think this will give you even more, just as we start to build and get a sense for what Auroville is, this will give you some really nice visuals. And then of course, Daniel will build on all of this. So let me make this a little bigger. Okay, hopefully you can see that well, and I'm going to start the video now.
Oh, it surpassed my expectations. It's the guides have been amazing, and we have seen so much and learned so much.
Audio cut out.
There's people from all different countries here, and the local people also, they work together. So to see that vision that Aurobindo and the mother had of union and working together and really embodying the spirituality, that's always been my vision, my intention is to be able to embody what my experience of the divinity is. And so this is like a living example of it. We have a beautiful group. It's just brought us together very close, and we've had fun, and we've had deep moments, and it's been a huge blessing. I would recommend this tour to anyone because there's so much to learn and to see and to grow from. However, especially I would recommend it for people who are interested in community, because we went into depth not only on about this community, but the experience and knowledge of all the people that were here, and our guides really helped us to understand what living in community is all about. This place is beautiful and inspiring, and if anybody has the opportunity to come, I would say jump on it.
All right. Ah, I love that. I feel like I get goosebumps every time I watch. And thank you, Mika, so much for putting together that video. And of course, for all of the great filming that happened during the trip to capture some of those moments. Okay, great. Well, I just have a few more slides to share with you as we begin to prepare for Daniel to share more specifically about Auroville and its history. So I just want to leave you with some practical information about the Auroville trip itself. And of course, we'll have a Q&A portion at the end if you have questions. But I want to make sure that you have like the detailed information, because we get a lot of questions about this. So this is a 15-day trip. It's one of the longest trips that we offer. And it's unique because you're not going to be moving around, sleeping in different places most of the nights as you do on our other trips. Really, you're going to be rooted in one location, a wonderful eco lodge and retreat center called Virte that's located within Auroville. All of your transportation, meals, and lodging are covered, from the airport pickup to where you sleep, what you eat each day. The trip includes daily visits to various projects in and around Auroville, really helping you get that quality time with residents and leaders in the community, workshops, educational programs, healing activities like yoga and meditation, as well as that community of fellow tour participants. And we really spend a lot of time trying to build that community even before the trip with a pre-trip orientation call. And hopefully all of that is aimed towards giving you some clarity on your own journey and what you may do after the trip. A little bit more about the details for how to book. There is a request to place a $500 deposit if you want to reserve your spot. The trips are filling up, so don't wait too long. So once you put in your $500 deposit, you can spread the other payments out over the coming months. As I mentioned, the pre-trip call, and really supporting you to have a safe and smooth journey to India. Daniel has helped put together this really dense information packet with all kinds of visa and medical information. So you'll get all of that as well to support your journey. And as a participant of today's event, we want to give you a special discount code that we aren't sharing anywhere else. This is just for you for being a participant here today. If you place a booking by this Sunday, so November 4th, if you
Oh,
get your booking
it's actually
by
not the
then,
4th.
I'm sorry. Whatever, today is November 4th. So what would that be on
Well,
Sunday?
close.
Yeah,
Sunday,
it is
Sunday,
close.
Sunday,
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yes, Sunday, November 9th. Yes. Thank you, Daniel.
Sure.
And there's the discount code Auroville 400. So yeah, this Sunday, November 9th. So make sure you write down that discount code because we're not going to share it again. I want to make sure you have that if you do decide to join us on the trip. And I think one of my last slides here is just Rebecca, if you want to share more about your role with Ecovillage Tours and what you're offering.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cynthia. I am our connection coordinator with Ecovillage Tours. My name is Rebecca. I'm happy to schedule a discovery call with you. If you have any questions, we would love for you to join us. We do still have a few spots open, and I know everyone's super eager to hear about Auroville and just kind of learn what it's like and all the details. If you would like to visit in person, I'm here as a resource, and I'm happy to connect with you and answer any questions you have, so that we can, ensure that you're ready to go and sign up for this awesome opportunity.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know folks, like this is a lot we're covering and this is a big webinar with a big group of people. So if you want to talk to somebody one-to-one, it's totally free. You don't have to make a commitment or anything. Please do go ahead and schedule that call with Rebecca. Okay. And yeah, and you'll put that link in the chat. All right, awesome. So thank you so much for learning about Ecovillage Tours and what it is that we're offering. I'm very excited to introduce Daniel Greenberg. Daniel and I have been connected in this whole movement of Ecovillage community stuff for a while now, going back to when we were living at Sirius Community in Massachusetts. I think that was like 2000.
I think we first met at Schwalbenalp in Switzerland.
And that was 2013. Yes, that was
Yeah.
a very big event for me. Yes. Yeah. And it's so cool. Like at that time, I think you were still doing the trips that you were doing with Living Roots, bringing students to Auroville. And so, having heard about that and then, eventually years later creating Ecovillage Tours, I truly feel we're just building on what you have laid the foundation for, kind of this next iteration of a lot of the work that you and others have been doing to foster connections with community. So I'm very grateful for your work and so excited to be going back to Auroville with you again this year.
Awesome.
All right, Daniel, I'll hand it over to you.
Great. Maybe pin me for a second. I can say a few words and then I'll go into a slideshow.
Okay,
So,
sounds
hi
good.
everyone. I'm so excited to talk about probably my favorite community in the world. And I've lost count, over 150. I think Cynthia and I are among the few that have really looked around the world. And I've been involved in eco-villages for, gosh, probably 35 years. And I met Monique, who hopefully will co-facilitate the program, back in '88. And about a year later, we hopped into a Westphalia camper van. First place we moved into together, and traveled to about 30 or 40 communes across North America. And then a year or two later, went to Findhorn in Scotland. Some of you may have heard of that, where I was completing my doctoral work on children and growing up in communities. And Monique had done a documentary about communities. And it was at Findhorn where I first learned about Auroville, and my mind was blown, and was just so excited a couple years later when started to have the opportunity to bring college students there. And so for years, I started a nonprofit back in, I think, '99, called Living Roots or Living Routes, and it partnered with the University of Massachusetts, and we ran semester, summer, January programs in eco-villages around the world. And so I did that until about 2012 when I left, and then it sadly stopped running in 2014. And I so love Ecovillage Tours because I feel like it's carrying on the vision of how do we introduce people to these really transforming communities. I mean, I think in the end, about 1,500 students went through our programs, and I would say almost all of them, their lives were changed. So let me share, see if this works. Are you all seeing this?
Yes, looks good.
Awesome. So Auroville, yeah, I mean, I started going in 1995, been back and forth many, many times. I actually tried to become a member twice. And the first time I left at the very beginning of COVID, my daughter was in Canada. I felt like I needed to go back and support her. And then it took me almost 2 years to get a visa to go back to India, tried again. And then I was drawn away by a position at the Finhorn Foundation. So I left again. But I have a deep, deep love of Auroville, and I'm excited to go back. I'm actually going back to Finhorn in 2 weeks as sort of a slow journey to back to India. So yeah, let me show you some pictures of Auroville and a little bit of background. So this is where it is. If you know India, it's this big triangle, and it's in the southeastern state of Tamil Nadu, about 2 hours south of Chennai. Long time ago, it used to be known as Madras, and it's very close to the city of Pondicherry. And so we'll get to experience Pondicherry. Also, as part of the program, we'll go to Tiruvannamalai, which is a sacred pilgrimage site. It's the site of the largest Shiva temple in India, also where the Sri Ramana Maharshi ashram is. So we'll really get to experience India proper as well. Auroville had a birthday, February 28th. We'll be there on its birthday, 1968. So it's almost 60 years old, and big event. 5,000 people came to the birth of Auroville. The United Nations was there, the government of India. Children from 124 countries each brought soil from their own country, and one by one, they placed it in this inaugural urn to symbolize the building of human unity. And so Auroville is this amazing experiment, and it was really founded on the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo, who was a sage philosopher. He has an amazing story that I'll share more about on the program. If I were to boil down his philosophy to one phrase, he said that humanity is on the brink of an evolutionary leap in consciousness. Humanity is on the brink of an evolutionary leap in consciousness. And so it really attracts people who hear that and say, yes, yes, I believe that. Or I really desperately want to believe that. Now what? What do we do with that information? How do we actually make that real? And so Auroville is essentially an experiment of people trying to create the future. And what would that look like? So it's an amazing, diverse, complex, ever-changing ecosystem of ideas and people, and it's just astounding. The woman on the right, Mira Alfalfa, was Sri Aurobindo's compatriot for many years. Sri Aurobindo died in 1950, and then the Mira Alfalfa, who became known as the mother, she lived to a ripe old age, like 95, and she was really the person who got Auroville started. So, and she was there for the first 5 years of Auroville's existence. Again, Auroville started in 68. She died in 73. So these are both really important figures in Auroville. And I just want to read quickly the Auroville Charter, because to me it encompasses sort of what it's about. So the first line, get this. This is the Charter of Auroville. The first line says, Auroville belongs to nobody in particular. Auroville belongs to humanity as a whole. But, and this is important, but to live in Auroville, one must be a willing servitor of the divine consciousness. Yeah. Auroville will be a place of unending education, of constant progress, and a youth that never ages. Auroville wants to be the bridge between the past and the future, taking advantage of all discoveries from without and from within. Auroville will boldly spring toward future realizations. Auroville will be a site of material and spiritual researches for a living embodiment of an actual human unity. I don't know of a community that has a bigger ambition, both spiritually and physically. And I'll show you. This is not an image of what Auroville looks like. It's what some early architects imagined Auroville might one day become. Of course, architects love buildings. It's not nearly as dense as this. But it is developing in this sort of spiral galaxy style, which is really phenomenal. And that dot in the middle is a place called the Mach Mandir, and they're actually now building that lake around it, and the gardens are almost complete. But this is what it looked like when they started. Okay. I'll go back just so you can see. It was a land that, as one person described it, was dying back into a moon through the overgrazing of cattle, the monsoon rains. I mean, look at it. The early settlers could basically see the horizon, okay? And so what they started doing was they planted trees, they made lots of mistakes. I mean, it started with a lot of hippies from the US and France. They didn't know what they were doing, but they learned from farmers and neighbors, and it worked. And over the years, the land came back, it's regenerated, and it's just this lush environment right now. And that dome you see in the distance is the Mach Mandir. That's a view from sea level. This is a view from above. It is essentially a meditation room, a room for concentration. Auroville, I should be clear, is not a religious community at all. It's explicitly not religious, but it is also explicitly spiritual. And so this is a place for individuals to go and really just be silent and seek wisdom within. It's not a place for religion. It's not even a place for groups to go. It's really a place for individuals to go and be silent. And the petals that you see around it are also meditation chambers. It's meant to look like a lotus flower. Many people think Epcot Center or golf ball. And the beautiful gardens around it. And you can't really see in this image. I think this was before the lake was starting to be developed. Inside the Mach Mandir, it's like out of a sci-fi movie. There's this massive 3-foot wide glass sphere, and the light that redirected by mirrors on the roof comes in, hits that big marble, and that's what illuminates the room. It's pure white. It's one of the most powerful meditation chambers I've ever been in. This is a map. You can't really read it, but the green area, this was from a few years ago, is the land that's owned by Auroville, and a lot of it is owned by villages and temples nearby. So it's a real mix. And the little names you can't read are all settlements. So in some ways, Auroville is a community of communities. And today it's about 3,300 people that are considered members of Auroville. Another 4,000 or 5,000 people come in from surrounding villages to work in Auroville every day. And in the high season, when we'll be there, there could be 8,000 to 10,000 visitors. So it's a very active, vibrant community. You can see the Bay of Bengal off to the right, but it's big. It's like 20 square kilometers. It takes maybe 30, 40 minutes to bicycle from a community up in the Northwest down to the beach. And so again, Auroville is this community of communities. Something the mother once said, someone asked her, it's like, well, how will Auroville be organized? And her response was, well, the best I can think of is it'll be kind of like a divine anarchy. And I recognize anarchy has a lot of baggage to it. A lot of people think chaos or violence. Anarchy really is the idea that we are sovereign agents. We can relate to others as we will. And Auroville says, come do synarchy. I like that. Thanks, Ian. I'm going to use that actually. But it's like we're all coming together as free agents, but with the purpose of manifesting divinity in the material world. And so there's lots of different communities around Auroville. Some of them are small, some of them are large. They're built out of very different materials. This is all acacia poles. You can see this is kind of a sort of half Bucky Fuller, and it's on these granite pillars. You can see the little ant traps below. One of the most popular professions in Auroville is architect. I mean, think about it. I get to design a utopian city. It's like it attracts pretty amazing people. This is the solar kitchen. We'll eat here a fair bit. It's made out of compressed, stabilized earth brick. Very simple technology. And if you get up on the roof, you see this massive solar dish which collects the sun, and it superheats this rod, which then boils water, and the steam is used to cook about 1,500 meals a day. And it's wonderful food, and it is one of those gathering places in the community. So yeah. Down on the beach, there's a place called Quiet, which is a healing place that does all kinds of massage. I mean, check it out. There's aquatic bodywork, Ayurvedic acupressure, massage, bioresonance. I don't even know what Berenda massage is, body tap. I mean, this is just A through B, right? So you can imagine how many different modalities are offered there. I often, when I'm there, I take a class on Watsu, which is sort of a yoga in the water, which is really sweet. We'll visit a place called Solitude Farm. which is run by this guy Krishna, who's amazing. He was really inspired by Fukuoka's one straw revolution, a Japanese method similar to permaculture. Really amazing place, and they have wonderful food, very local food. He's trying to bring back indigenous cuisine. There's lots of orchards and farms in the area. They do a lot of work with recycling and upcycling. How do we take trash and make it into something valuable? There's a wonderful free store. Monique and I have two daughters. The youngest went to high school in Auroville, and she's very proud that I think 98% of her wardrobe came from the free store in Auroville. There's the Earth Institute we'll check out about how they actually use these stabilized earth bricks. They also do things with ferro cement and windmills. We'll get around on electric cycles, and that's a wonderful way to get around. It's really the perfect way. It's very flat. It's like a low-lying plateau, and you can get pretty much wherever you want on your cycles. Well, there's many units. I'm just giving you a little glimpse. There's one that I really like called Ecofem, and they do a lot of work with feminine hygiene using cloth products, and they also do a lot of education across India and the world. Kids are allowed on the program, and I'm seeing Swati has a question, and in Auroville, there's lots of kids in Auroville. Monique is a midwife, and she works at a place called Morningstar. And very exciting news that they've just broken ground on creating a birth center in Auroville, which is really great. So yes, kids are not only allowed, but they're often born there. Lots of schools. And so there was something that was developed in Auroville called Awareness Through the Body, which is very cool. Maybe we'll do some of that in our program. And I mentioned Pema, my younger daughter, went to a place called La School. Check it out. My school did not look like this. It's just gorgeous. And she did a lot of artwork. This is actually their art studio. She had an amazing time. It was a free progress school. So there's two high schools there. One is a little more traditional, but she went to the one where the students basically run the day, and an amazing teacher. She had an amazing experience. She's now a junior at Warren Wilson College in North Carolina. And yeah, it really set her up for success. And I also want to mention that Auroville, like the world, is in transition. It's struggling in a way. And what's been happening, and I can go into more detail if people are interested, but there's three bodies of governance in Auroville, which came to be in the 80s. There is the Residents' Assembly. I think you can see my cursor here. That's basically the community, right? That's the 3,300 members. Then there's an International Advisory Committee or Council of people around the world. And then there's a governing board. And the governing board is nominated or selected by the government of India. And there is a secretary, essentially the chair of that board. And that board has been, I should say, exerting more control than they have been over the previous decades. In some ways, their vision is like, we want to get Auroville moving fast. It's in some ways seen as a feather in the cap or a gem in the crown of Auroville. Sri Aurobindo is sort of a favorite son of Auroville, of India. And so they really want to see Auroville successful, but they're doing it in a way that isn't very inclusive of the residents. And so there's kind of a battle happening there now. And it's challenging and it's fascinating. And so we will go there kind of looking at Auroville as a microcosm of what's happening in the world as well. And so, yeah, I mean, so here's an example. One of the first things that this new secretary did back in 2018, 2019, is she bulldozed the youth center. And my daughter Pema came to me the next day and said, I'm Orvillian now. This is my fight. And in fact, her college essay was about sitting in front of a bulldozer. So it's a really fascinating place about how do we think about popular and citizen decision making, and how do we think about hierarchy in community and all of that. And the good news is that it's really creating a lot of innovative ways to think about it. One of the things that they did a few years ago is what's called a citizens assembly, which basically brought together a random a group of people, members of Auroville, to really look at how to design the city. Pema was a part of that. It was a big experience for her. And so it is a lot of people really trying to figure this out together. We will be there on the birthday, February 28th. And every birthday, people get up before dawn and they come to, you can see the inaugural urn that I showed at the beginning, where all the soil from 124 countries, and there's a big bonfire, and there's amazing mandalas with flowers and the Macha Madeira in the distance, and it's a wonderful time to gather. So again, Oroville is one of my favorite places on the planet. Uh, it's almost too big to be considered an eco-village. There's a lot of people there that wouldn't use that word. But to me, I would say an eco-village is simply a group of people that are trying to live high quality and low impact lives together. How do we live well and lightly together? And so that is at least part of the experiment of Orville. And of course, it's this experiment in evolving human consciousness. I think that's all I got. Yep. Let me stop my share. Ah, thank you. And
Yay.
happy to respond to any thoughts or questions people have.
Wow, thank you, Daniel. Really appreciate that presentation and seeing the photos of the, history and turning the barren land into this lush forest. And thank you for sharing about your own family and your daughter Pema going to school there, and also the more recent challenges that I know we're not wanting to cover up and pretend isn't happening, but really look at, like you said, as a learning experience. Well, if intentional communities are a microcosm, what does that say about how we address these challenges and come together? So yeah, appreciate that. And now we can have some Q&A time. So this is an opportunity for those of you who have questions or comments, maybe your own experience of Auroville that you want to bring forward. And to do this, you can write into the chat. You can also use the Zoom raise your hand button. I know I've seen a few people trying to wave, and so we'll ask you to unmute, but we have a lot of people here, so we want to make sure we give time to as many folks as possible. So let's see. Judy, would you like to go first? I saw you waving. Go ahead.
Thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, I just, I'm sure many of us or at least I'm wondering about why a community like that, that only a small group is kind of running the place and in charge, and wondering who they are. And why, how did this evolve that a community that old is not really allowing the members of the community to have that much vote? That seems unusual. Or
Well, it's not quite that cut and dried. I mean, the residents do control a lot, and they're doing a lot. Um, yeah, it's just that the Orville Foundation, which theoretically owns all of the fixed assets of Orville and is managed, well, it's up for debate who manages that. The governing board, the real leverage they have is around visas. So a lot of the challenges that are happening are relating to foreign visitors or foreign people that are living there. So they get to control who gets an entry visa, who can actually live there. And so the sad thing is that they're using that as leverage to sort of make sure that people are kind of in line with their vision of Oroville. But the residents are basically going about their lives and doing their work and doing the units. And yeah, I mean, it's a more complicated story that I can get into around. There was a big battle after the mother passed away in 73, and there was a power vacuum, and then it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And there's actually a law in India that sanctions Orville, its existence.
Really?
And that was the law that actually set up these three governing bodies. And for 30, 40 years, that the governing board was very hands off. And it's just in this with this last secretary that she's just coming in, really wanting to move things forward. And I also appreciate that idea. I mean, all the residents in Oroville want the city. They want this to develop. But the difference is they want to do it through a collective process. And how do we figure this all out together? And the governing board is saying, no, we can do this. We built cities other places. We can do that here. But I'm like, wait a minute, it's not really what Orville's about. So it's a really interesting mix of top down and bottom up, which has always been the issue of Orville. How do you kind of do a top down and bottom up development in a place? which I imagine any of you who've lived in community, it's this isn't an uncommon issue.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great. Good question. We have a lot of questions in the chat regarding residency, like how to get housing there, how much would it cost, the process, anything you want to share for folks who are thinking,
Yeah,
maybe I want to live
quickly.
in Oroville.
Yeah, I mean, the way it typically happens if someone wants to become Aurovillian is you visit, and if you're like, oh, this is my place, then you do an interview, and then what you would do is then you have to go back to your home country because then you get a letter that you work with your visa or immigration office in your home country to then get what's called an entry visa, and then you can go back and become a newcomer, and that process takes at least a year. And so there's a pretty strong gateway to become Aurovillian. And the most of the interest in that year is to make sure it's a good fit, to make sure that you assimilate into what's going on, that you kind of know what you're doing. It's a big place, as I mentioned. So that's one of the reasons why it's a longer program. I mean, partly you're going all the way to India, so it's like you want to make it a longer experience. And Orville is such a big place that even in 2 weeks, it's like I think that's sort of like the minimum to really get a sense of the whole place.
Yeah, yeah, good. And then for people who want to come to visit, maybe join the Ecovillage tour, maybe visit on their own time, or even come as a volunteer.
Mm.
Is that relatively easy
It
to do
is
to visit?
possible. First of all, I should say that I expect to stay after the program. I'll be there probably from early February through the end of March, and many people choose to stay on after the program. And it's nice because the 2 week program really gives you a lay of the land. And after that time, you kind of know where you are, um, and you can get around more easily. You can go and volunteer. There is a what is it called? Savi, Savi, Shurabindo Volunteer something International, and they can set you up with volunteer opportunities as well. Normally, people volunteer for at least a month. As you know, any place that takes in volunteers, it requires as much energy from the people as it does save them time. So they like people who are willing to come for a longer time. And I'm happy to talk about that in more detail with folks if they want.
Okay, great. Yeah, and there was a question here or a comment about getting a visa to visit Oroville or India. And
Yeah,
there,
well, for most people doing the program, that's simple. It's gotten a lot easier. You just do an e-visa. You don't even have to send your passport. I always felt a little nervous actually putting my passport in the mail and sending it back. Please come back. But now you can just do it online for visitor's visa.
yeah, yeah, it's become a lot easier just to do the online e-visa. And Carol says, I'm a retired overseas teacher. I was able to get a visa when working with Chennai without any trouble. I lived in 7 countries, and with a work visa, it was easy as long as I was employed by a school. Interesting. Okay.
Nice.
And then, yeah, I think there's some questions here. Like Lindsay is asking, I thought there was no money used there. Is that true? Yeah.
No, I mean it was a vision of the mother. Maybe it will eventually become true that it would be moneyless in Oroville. And there have been experiments of people kind of collecting whatever they have and having a collective economy. What they do have is you get there and you basically exchange money for you get a card, an Oro card, and then that's used. But essentially, it's a debit card, right? So I think it's silly when people say there's no money. You don't. There's not as much cash exchanged with people, but it is an exchange of money. So they haven't quite gotten away from that. But I would say that there's a lot of emphasis on non-materialism. Although there are a lot of beautiful craft industries, and so a lot of people come to the program and leave with wonderful gifts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes people, see these amazing visionary communities and think, oh, that's utopia. That's, the place that exists without money. And it's like most communities are working towards that ideal. I think Oroville with the Oro card is really cool because it is creating, in a sense, an internal currency. and fostering, like Daniel said, the local exchange. So that's already a really good step in the right direction. Um, okay, some more practical things about vaccines, vaccinations for traveling for to India, for dengue fever, yellow fever, that sort of thing. Obviously, we don't want to give anyone medical advice. It's good to speak with your healthcare provider
Yeah,
about that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And all that's laid out in the packet. I mean, it would be good to be up on your basics. And now there's a malaria vaccine, I think. I actually haven't had experience with it. Other people take prophylactics. I think there's been one or two cases of malaria over the last few decades. It's a safe place. And so India is a big, wild place. Auroville is India, and it's different. It's very international. It's probably more comfortable than most places in India. Where we'll stay is in a community called Verite, which is one of my favorite communities. It's simple but very nice accommodations. Um, but yeah, with vaccines, and I would defer to your doctor and the information packet. But there's nothing odd. I mean, I don't think many people do the yellow fever. I don't think that's a thing. Um, yeah.
Good. Good to get a sense. All right. And then there's a question. Can you give some examples of what types of volunteer roles one might be able to do if they stay after the Eco Village tour? And is it an exchange for room board or is it usually paid?
That often depends on where someone volunteers. It can vary. I mean, from what I showed you, I think Ecofem might take some volunteers. There's various orchards or forestry. There could be tree planting. One of the communities of Oroville is called Sadhana Forest. It's actually outside of the main city area. And they do a lot of work in land regeneration. They work with surrounding villages. And that's a whole thing in itself. You can go there and you wake up at 5 in the morning and you're planting trees before it gets hot. And there's usually in the high season, there could be 150 people there. Um, um, yeah, so there's lots of different units to volunteer. But yeah, it's if you can imagine something, there's probably a similar opportunity there.
Okay, great. Yeah, and is it like an exchange for room and board? I know it varies,
Yeah, I mean,
but
some will do that, but I think most you're still needing to do your room and board. And I saw there was another question about that. If you become Orvillian, you get a place and you get at least a stipend. But if you're part of a unit that is making or is producing something that's making money, you might make a little bit more. If you're visiting, basically people are renting accommodation. There's probably 100 different places to stay in Oroville. There's lots of opportunities, and they range from very, very simple to quite luxurious. They'll bring you the newspaper and a coffee in the morning. Um, yeah, and
great.
also transportation. I mean, some people get around on just little old rickety bicycles, all the way up to motorcycles. There are more and more cars over the years, but still, that's not the most common form of transportation. Most people get around on bicycles or scooters or motorcycles. But on our program, it'll be electric bicycles.
Yeah.
They're cycles. Uh, bikes mean motorcycles. Here we can say bike and we know that it means a bicycle, but there, if you say a bike, it means a motorcycle.
Good. Good to know. Good. So that was some info about the practical stuff. Maybe shifting a little bit back more into the philosophy and spirituality. Beth writes, I'm focused on the spiritual aspects of Oroville. Are there many opportunities to learn more about Sri Aurobindo's and the mother's teachings and to meditate?
You bet. Absolutely. I mean, there are weekly, especially in that time of year, there's lots of sessions and workshops of people all the way from the basics to walking through and reading something called Savitri, which is actually the longest English poem in the world that was written by Sri Aurobindo. it's a little dense. It honestly, it kind of puts me to sleep, but it's beautiful as well. And Savitri, yeah, it's an amazing poem, but there's lots of opportunities. We'll talk about it on the program, and we'll also connect with some amazing people. I sometimes say of the 50 most amazing people I know on the planet, probably half of them live in Oroville. And one of the great benefits of having brought groups of students to Oroville for over 30 years, I know a lot of the movers and shakers and a lot of the people who can really give us a diverse perspective on Oroville, the spiritual aspect, and also its governance and economic systems, social, everything.
Yeah. Daniel, can you speak to the design of the itinerary? Because I feel like you've really created this
Sure.
nice progression for the participants.
Yeah, we kind of front load the program. The first couple days are just landing, right? And kind of getting a sense of where things are. And we do work of just sort of understanding and group building. And then really the first week um, is a lot of the basics. We'll visit the Machu Mandir and visit an old friend B, who is an amazing person. And then from then you'll have an opportunity if you want to go back and meditate in the Machu Mandir on your own. You'll have that opportunity. You'll get a little card and you can do that. Um, yeah, and then as the program progresses, we put in more free time and more to be determined, right? Because each group is a little different in what they want to do, and we want to make sure that we're meeting people's needs. And sometimes toward the end of the program, people are like, I want to just do this and I want to do that. And it's really fun to see people sort of just going off on their own and coming back with their stories. And so there's an evolution of like, okay, we're all together doing this to giving more and more freedom. And that's why by the end of the program, people who stay on have a good sense of where things are and how they get around and what they want to do.
Very good.
I should also say that it's an important part of the program that we really do give an overview. There's lots of programs that come to Oroville that are very focused. There's programs that look at the architecture or the green building, or the agriculture, permaculture. For me, it's really important to see all aspects. So the economy, but also the ecology, the social aspects, the spiritual aspects, because for me, there's a gestalt of Oroville. I feel a little sad when programs come in and look very focused because they kind of miss the big picture. They see the trees, but they don't see the forest.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I think it's an amazing opportunity also for people to like go in, get a lot of information, the lay of the land, become well equipped, and then as the days go on, get a little more independent and go and do your own things that you're specifically interested in and have that space within the program. So it's a beautiful design. I think we're coming towards a close here on our hour. So I'm wondering if anyone's sitting on a question or a thought or a comment. I'd love to hear some more voices. So if you want to give me a little
There was something I saw about accessibility, and I want to
oh,
mention
sure.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be important for you to be able to get around on a bicycle. Having said that, my mother-in-law, Monique's mother, came on the program 2 years ago, and she, I think, was 81, 82 at the time, and she was able to do it. There are most places you can get to accessed, with even wheelchairs, but there are places that aren't. And so I would say at the minimum, you should be able to ride a bicycle and climb stairs. If you can do that, you're good to go.
Great. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yes, and airfare is booked independently. Yep. Yep. So the trip includes all of the transportation during the tour days from when you arrive at the airport. But you have to get yourself there to the Chennai airport. All right.
Uh,
Yeah. And feel
there's
free
lots
to
of
write
things.
to us. Yeah, I know there is a lot. So if there's
Sorry,
anything we
folks.
missed, we can you can write to us just info@ecovillagetours.com. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you, Carmela. Yeah, there's a lot of information on the website. Beautiful. Yeah, and then you can book a call with Rebecca. You can talk to somebody on the phone.
But maybe the last thing I want to say, is I actually feel Auroville is important. Um, we are in this transition locally, globally, really in planetary history. And I think we're looking at how do we live post-capitalism, essentially. And I think Orville is one of these places that are experimenting. There's the line that someone said, I think William Gibson, sci-fi author, said, "The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed." And so in some ways, I feel Orville is at least trying to live the future. And to me, that is not only inspiring, but it's really important. Ideally, Orville is one of these pivot points upon which this great turning toward a better world happens.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. The future is already here, just not evenly distributed. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. That was very inspiring and also grounded. Thank you all for participating here today and all your good questions.
The questions that keep coming in.
So funny.
If you want to reach me directly, it's very simple. Email daniel@ic.org. Daniel@ic.org. I've had that email since like 92. That's it. Oh, no, org. Yeah. Rebecca got it. Yep.
Nice. And we will send the recording and we'll send some of these links out. I really hope you decide to come on this trip to visit Auroville. It truly is. It's like a once in a lifetime transformative experience. Really, really, really. So if you feel like you can do it, I encourage you to do so. And thank you again for being here today to learn and explore about Auroville. Okay, folks, take care. Good to see everyone. Be well. I love all the hearts. Yes. All right. Bye, folks.